Columbus had no problem with his men raping and killing them. There are horrific accounts of Columbus selling Native American women and young girls, along with brutal stories of his men killing and torturing Native people and even babies for fun.
So here's the truth. It's Columbus Day today. Isn't that fun? Indigenous Peoples Day. Hit me with something, Billy.
Yay. That was not the soundboard. That was Billy.
Yay!
Oh, look at that. It's a holiday.
And in the theme of deconstructing any type of national pride or identity because America bad, according to Kamala Harris, Columbus Day, all of that patriotism, the whole new world, it needs to change because we are racist or something.
Oh, boy.
So I'm wondering, would you support efforts on a federal level to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day? And why does that matter so much?
Sure. Yeah. And why it matters is, to your very point, we have to remember history. And this question, I think, really is connected to the last question about our morals and our compass.
Our compass.
And our goals.
A globe.
And our aspirations. We have to remember our history.
I was raised by a middle class.
Uncomfortable, to your point about truths, though it may make us.
It's like every answer, she's just giving some words to prolong her answer.
Yes,
exactly. She's like, give me some time to think about the I still don't have one.
I think it's important because it's a question.
But first we have to understand
about Columbus. She said, and Columbus is a historical figure. He existed, just as we exist now. We didn't exist back then, nor does Columbus today.
And
shut up.
I am not Columbus. That's
so let's go through some of these myths that are the premises, by the way, for why we need to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. I don't know if you know this. Spoiler, I'm not a fan of calling it Indigenous Peoples Day. I don't even like calling it Indigenous People. So you know what? Let's debunk the most common myths here in 5 minutes or less. Toolman, start the clock. All right, here we go. Myth number one, that Columbus committed mass genocide, right? You'll hear that everywhere. That's why we need to change it to Indigenous Peoples Day. We'll make all of the references available at louderwithcrowder.com. Here's the truth. Diseases killed natives. They were mostly killed by infectious diseases. The settlers didn't even know they had brought with them, okay? A big part of that was they came from animals, domesticated animals that had not been domesticated by the Native Americans. A big one of those would be horses. So this whole Native American horse culture that you've seen, them with bow and arrow on horseback, no, the only time they would have been using the horse, they would have been carrying a lever-action Winchester because that's about the time that they were finally able to ride them as opposed to chasing them all off a cliff, rendering them almost extinct. That's what happened. The idea that we had taken them out, or Columbus did specifically with genocide. Also, I don't know if you know this, germ theory was not discovered until the 1860s.
That's after Columbus.
That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
By a bit.
Here's another myth as to why we need to change it to Indigenous Peoples Day. Because Columbus was awful, he was barbaric, and clearly there is no argument about the fact that Columbus was a rapist.
Columbus had no problem with his men raping and killing them. There are horrific accounts of Columbus selling Native American women and young girls, along with brutal stories of his men killing and torturing Native people and even babies for fun.
Okay, some of that I can't necessarily verify, even babies for fun. Like, I don't know if they had a smile on their face.
Yeah. They were upset about it. They were kind of hating, like, oh, I got to go back to work today, killing these natives.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, a baby.
But I tell you what, exactly. If you do what you enjoy, you never work a day in your life.
I guess.
So here's the truth. I'm sure people did bad things across the board back then, but these specific claims that you see of rape and the brutality, it come from a political enemy, right? Fernando de Bobadilla. You may not know Fernando's name.
Bobadilla. It sounds Italian.
And a lot of people just take it at face value. I don't know if you know this. Now, there probably were some examples of women and children being killed. But what happened is they probably saw the Native Americans treating each other so poorly, raping, pillaging, scalping, cannibalizing. And then they turn into animals themselves, and you only look at one side of the equation. Here's another truth that you may not know. Columbus, very flawed. I'm not saying that he's Jesus Christ, but he did order his own men to stay away, specifically from Native American women. Contrast that with many native tribes who specifically took women as basically rape Poles as part of the spoils of war. This is from Columbus's journal. He said, I have given the men orders not to take anything from them against their will. So they have paid them for everything. I cannot believe that any man has ever met a people so good-hearted and generous, so gentle, that they did their utmost to give us everything they had. Columbus also, by the way, made his men observe the 3 monastic vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, which I don't know if they all did. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like, he's like, hey, do that. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, we'll be chaste. But the point is, you can't just look at one side of the equation and think that it was a whole peaceful Native American culture. And these animals just came in with the rape and diseases, engaged in biological warfare before germ theory even became a thing. Here's a third myth, kind of piggybacking off that the Native Americans were peaceful until Columbus showed up. Okay, you'll hear this. This is why we need to turn it into Indigenous Peoples Day. Truth. War was all over this country between tribes. You will still find territory that is in dispute depending on the tribe who claims they were the last tribe to be there, which means there was a tribe before them to this day. For proof, just look at the Black Hills. That's a perfect example right now. They all hold hands saying, we are the world. But the fact is their forefathers killed each other's forefathers in record numbers. And crazy enough, there are more Kiowa than ever in recorded history today
that's a bad
on
genocide.
Earth. Yeah, if that's a genocide, you screwed up. You didn't end the Holocaust with 6 million more Jews than when you started. So not very good at the genociding is my point, even if there were acts of cruelty. Columbus arrived, there were 2 tribes who were dominant. There were the Caribs, there were the Arawaks, okay? Caribs were vicious cannibals. The Arawaks were passive, friendly. I don't know if you know this. Typically, if you have a passive-friendly tribe, they live in constant fear of the vicious cannibals.
Because of the eating.
And so...
What a time for that one.
And so the Arawaks were terrified of the Caribs. Here's another truth. The Indians, by the way, when you talk about them respecting the earth and Mother Nature, they hunted multiple species into extinction, almost the buffalo. And they did not, by the way, use each part of the animal, as you have been told. They would literally hunt. They would scare an entire herd of buffalo off a cliff, and they didn't have refrigeration. They could keep one. To give you some more proof here, again, doesn't mean that Columbus was perfect, doesn't mean that settlers were perfect, but this idea that white, bad, new settlers, bad, Native Americans, all good, it couldn't be further from the truth. It's the same reason that you would not want to live on any Native American reservation today, unless you want to live in every episode of Cops. If you go to the Spanish Conquistadors, I've talked about this a few times, and I know you're going to say this, there's no way this is true. I didn't believe it when I first started reading up on this back as a teenager. You think of the Conquistadors, right? You think of what happened with the Aztecs, right? The Mayans, the Incas, depending where you go. How many Conquistadors do you think came here? Cortez. You would think, right? There were tens of thousands of Indians there, hundreds of thousands. There were 800 Conquistadors. 800 who took over. Do you realize that that doesn't happen unless there are so many natives here who have been enslaved, raped, and tortured that they will take their chances with anyone else, including people with red beards and funny hats? That's what they did.
Yeah, even though they were laughing the whole time at those hats.
Yes, they were.
They were willing to fight.
Yes. So,
Oh my gosh.
I still say Columbus Day. You can comment below. I don't know how you celebrate it, but there's one more reason that those on the left may hate Columbus. This is what I think is the real reason.
Yeah?
He was a Jew.
What?
That's
Yes,
right?
he was Jewish, at least partially Jewish. And looking back, it's kind of surprising. How did we miss that? You would think, hey.
Why is the head so small?
It's been the whitewashing of Columbus. You're just as much to blame.
All right, 6.5 minutes.
We went into overtime. It's okay.
I apologize.
Pull that Photoshop back up.
Columbus.
It's like the character from Beetlejuice.
Yes, bring up Columbus.
Now, come on.
I would be terrified of this guy too. Showing up with your long fingers and your tiny head.
He's a monster.
For people on audio. Oh, no.
Switch to video for people on
Wait, was that one of the Brooks brothers?
Kanye West, like, I knew it.
Whole country founded on it.
Josh is turning red. Excuse me, sorry guys. This is a holiday. Yes. Have some respect.
Small-headed holiday.
How do you celebrate Columbus Day? Fire, water, and boom boom sticks? So do the natives.
Well, I mean, it's only 8 a.m. But 9 a.m.
Our law's not theirs.
They make me live this way. All right, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, white guy came in and forced you to buy a Tesla. All right.
Tesla. Okay.
Let's,
So tired of it.
it's a Kia Spark, whatever their electric car. I have no idea.
It's a soul.
It's a Rivian.
They play it as you drive off the showroom floor.
Hey, if you like this video, you can comment below. We always appreciate your feedback. Or click one of these, which will be similar as far as rebuttals, claims, truths. Maybe it changed my mind. Or sometimes we talk about the difference between men and women, how dogs are different from cats, airline food. No punchline, just premises, because this is the internet in the 21st damn century.